Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert Camo, the Fantasy Football Counselor. Excited to share with you guys three wide receivers I would never draft. Just guys I would stay away from, guys I would dodge, guys I would just never put on my roster, guys. Very simple episode, very clean, right to the point, guys. I'm excited. Guys, fantasy football season is almost here. Now, before I get in this show, guys, head on over to manscaped.com. Guys, I love the product. I love the fit and finish. This particular package is called the Ultra Smooth Package. Check it out. Now, in here, we've got a crop exfoliator, crop gel, the crop shaver, everything you need here. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0 and the 4.0 is out. This is the 3.0. You can groom around your sensitive areas. You guys are going to be very happy with the product, genuinely. Head over to manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. They're one of my sponsors this year, and I appreciate them being here, and I'm trying to give you guys something that I would use myself, okay? So, manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. Also, Listeners League. If you guys want to get a chance to get into the Listeners League for a chance to win $500, everybody that gets a 16-round draft solution is automatically entered for the draw. The draw is at the end of June, and we're going to determine the top 12 players that are going to be in the Listener League, and I'm going to be hosting that league. So if you guys want to get in, get the 16-round draft solution. Guys, the first ever and only video training. I'm going to help you guys crush your leagues. It's a win-win. Chance to be in the Listeners League, and you're going to win your league because there's amazing advice, because draft kits are dead, guys. 16 rounds is the game changer. Also, guys, smash thumbs up. Takes a second of your time. Really helps the channel. Please hit that smash thumbs up button if you're here on YouTube, and in the comments below, let me know which wide receivers you would avoid, okay? I've got three here that I would just never draft, okay? Now, again, they're pretty big names. You know, one of them, you're like, oh, Joe, how could you not draft him? Well, you're gonna see and you're gonna understand why I would never draft this guy, guys. It's very simple to me. It may not be as easy and clear-cut for you, but it's clear-cut for me. I'm never drafting these guys. All right, the first one's a little obvious if you follow my channel. Let's get to it. The guy I would never draft is Odell Beckham Jr. It's very simple here, guys. Why? It's because he's the biggest bust in fantasy football history. Now, this year, the fifth year I've been saying this in a row, it makes sense. Like, oh, Joe, that's kind of obvious, Joe. I'm not going to draft Odell, even though now he's like coming off, I think, in the fifth round or something like that. So people are like, oh, that's so obvious now, Joe. How could you say that? I've been saying this since 2017. Let's talk about it. In 2017, okay, he finished 82nd amongst he was drafted in the first round. Finished 82nd amongst wide receivers in the rankings, okay? Well, Joey got hurt. You only played 4 games. Yes, I understand that. But, guys, I called it before he busted that year. I said, listen, Odell's overrated, new team, new offense, wherever he was. I don't even know. I think that's when he made the move to Cleveland. Either way, I knew he would bust. I thought he was overrated based on that catch. I stayed away. In 2018, again, the mainstream were like, hey, man, we need to put this guy first round again. Even though he was injured, we got to give, the big name Odell Beckham the benefit of the doubt. We got to put him there. I'm like, no, I don't trust him again. I don't think he's that good. First of all, durability is an issue because he got hurt. Oh, Joe is a fluke. It's Odell Beckham. You got to draft him in the first round. Like, no, don't do it. Oh, no, Joe, he's going to have a record year. I mean, this is something that I was really fighting against. There was a lot of resistance. Everyone's like, Joe, you're crazy. How could you not draft Odell? He's good. I'm like, no, let's just go robust RB. You're going to be in a lot better shape, right? So, actually, I think that 2017 was the year I had Michael Thomas over Odell, and people thought I was nuts or something like that. I think that was the year. And then Thomas had that breakout year. In 2018, again, finished 15th amongst wide receivers, playing 12 games. He had 230 fantasy points. Not bad. Still not worth the first-round pick, right? So, again, he busted yet again. The year after, in 2019, he played the full 16 games, finished 25th amongst wide receivers. Again, not drafted in the first round back in 2019. You guys get the point here, right? 201 fantasy points. In 2020, again, drafted in the third round because people are like, oh, 3 years in a row he busted. 2017, 18, and 19 he busted. Let's lower his ADP. That's what the sheep said. And he was drafted coming off in the third round. I still stayed away. He finished 89th, guys, amongst wide receivers. Played 7 games with about 86 fantasy points. Odell Beckham Jr., guys, here's an announcement, is the biggest bust in fantasy football history and the most overrated wide receiver in history. The guy is not a good player. He's not good. He was overrated based on that catch. He got some volume when he was back in New York. He's completely overrated, and he is a wide receiver I will never draft. And people, again, thought I was crazy for dodging him. People thought I was crazy that I said Landry was better than him, and Landry outperforms him every single year. And yet Odell still sits higher in the rankings over Landry. It's absolutely ludicrous. and I'm staying away from him. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. The sheep, what they do is they do a couple things to screw you, right? Number one, what they do is they go for the popular player. And number two, they try to save face. So if one of their popular players doesn't do well one year, they try to put him on top, near the top again, thinking that they can save face based on the BS they did last year. So again, I'm going to go ahead and stay away from Odell, a guy I would never draft, okay? And here's a fantasy football draft strategy tip when it comes to wide receivers. Always aim for a guy that gets a lot of volume, okay? Now, the next guy here, Tyreek Hill, I would never draft Tyreek Hill. I'll tell you why. Again, he's not going to get the volume that you want. He's never going to be a 150, 160, target kind of guy. And I want to see a lot of targets, okay? That's very important to me if I get a wide receiver. And I always try to aim for wide receiver ones on their team. Now, he's a wide receiver one, but the biggest problem is the low target count. Another thing that I look at the reason I don't want to draft Tyreek Hill is I got to invest a very early draft capital in him. I got to look at late first round all the time to get Tyreek Hill, a guy that gets about 135 targets and sometimes is known for not finishing seasons. Not to mention, he's got to compete with the number one target getter there in Travis Kelce, okay? You've got a team that, yes, throws the ball a lot in the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes, but now you're contending with many other targets, including Mecole Hardman. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 54 targets. Mecole Hardman had 62 last year, and Kelce, who had 145 targets. So Tyreek Hill is very, very touchdown dependent. Is he going to continue to get, 15 touchdowns a season? Possible. I mean, that's what he got last year, but it's very unlikely that that's going to continue. Pulling up his profile here, I'm going to take a quick look here. So I'm looking at, 15 touchdowns last year, which was a pinnacle year for him. 7 touchdowns the year before and only 12 games. Before that, 12 touchdowns and 7 touchdowns in 2017 and 6 touchdowns in 2016. So it's only 1 year where he had this many touchdowns and he had 1,276 yards. So he does, he has got a good catch and run, gets some good yards after catch, and very touchdown dependent. But again, 135 targets, really not what I like to see, especially if I'm investing a first-round pick on him. This is why I would never draft him. Comparing him to a guy, let's say, like Hopkins with 160, Allen Robinson 151, Devontae Adams 148, I like to see a lot of targets, okay? So very touchdown dependent for him to succeed. If he doesn't get those touchdowns, I don't know if there's going to be enough targets. Now, again, he was 9th in targets. But again, if I'm investing a first-round pick, I want to get more out of that, okay? So Tyreek Hill, never going to draft him. Too early draft capital. Third guy here. Now, we just talked about target counts. Now, this guy's always been touted to be a wide receiver one on the teams, always drafted relatively early. This year, he finished last year. He didn't finish too bad. He finished, I believe, let's see where he finished here. 15th amongst wide receivers. This year, again, he's 15th. The guy I'm talking about is Amari Cooper. Now, Amari Cooper is a good wide receiver. He's just not great. And the biggest problem with Amari Cooper is the target share over in Dallas. Now, you got a team that can run the ball, pound the ball, and give it to Zeke 300 times. But, they are going to throw a bit more, I think, with Dak this year. Now, if you look at his target count in 2019, 119 targets. I need to see more than that. Now, looking at last year's targets, 130, but Dak was out. But you're going to get a huge divide share with these guys. 111 targets to CeeDee Lamb last year and 105 to Michael Gallup. That's not good, guys. Now, this is a pure, it's almost like a, three-way split. And you're in a situation where arguably you could say CeeDee Lamb is better than Amari Cooper, or you can make an argument that, Michael Gallup's better than CeeDee Lamb or better than, Amari Cooper. You're in that situation where you don't have a clear-cut favorite wide receiver one. And I emphasize this when I talk about running backs. I emphasize this when I talk about every other position. It's very imperative that when you draft any player, you aim for a guy that's high on the depth chart and is clear cut in regards to wide receiver one status. I'm seeing this again here when I look at the Minnesota Vikings here. I look at Justin Jefferson, okay? Justin Jefferson had 125 targets. That's going to be a problem considering Adam Thielen had 108. And I understand there's 2 receivers and, you can make the argument, well, Joe, what about the Steelers? You like Deontay Johnson. I like these guys at value. So, for example, Jefferson's going to be coming off pretty quick. He's a top 10 wide receiver. I liked him back when he was, in the 8th round, okay? So, it's very important that if you are getting these guys that split up, you make sure you get them value. Now, Amari Cooper sitting 15th amongst wide receivers in the rankings. He's going to be decent value, but I still think he's a little expensive based on where you're going to get him based on his ADP. And for that reason alone, I'm going to stay away. Just way too much of a split in target share. And a guy that I've been avoiding that's been mediocre at best, okay? Now, there's a ton of other wide receivers I wouldn't draft. But I wanted to give 3 today that I would never draft that really kind of stuck out in my head. Odell, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper. No matter how good Tyreek Hill is, I'm just not going to do it. Way too early ADP and not enough targets and volume for me to get excited about. Coming off a pinnacle year last year, okay? That's another thing. Look, I'm not going to be drafting Davante Adams again this year, and it wasn't because of the drama with Aaron Rodgers and the fact that he might not come back. Again, before that talk even happened, I said I'm staying away from Davante Adams because he's coming off a pinnacle year, 18 touchdowns. I mean, it was a Cinderella year, 1,374 yards. 358 points. He's not going to produce that again. I mean, there's a chance he could, but very hard to duplicate the numbers the year prior, okay? So you got to look at things evolving, changing, moving, and you got to adapt to that, okay? So there you have it, guys. 3 wide receivers I would never, ever draft, and the reasons why. Make sure you guys leave a comment below. Let me know who you wouldn't draft. Love to hear your feedback. Smash thumbs up, guys, and get the 16-round draft solution for a chance to be in the Listeners League that I'm hosting for a chance to win $500, guys. Fantasy football season's here. I'm excited. I can't get over how excited I am, guys. It's almost here. Subscribe, and I'm out soon. I'm out, guys. Thank you. Talk soon.